Yeah, it has been played here by, Lenny Kravitz, Craig Ross, Marcus King, Joe Bonamassa played it, and now by
totally
Danilo
agree.
Vicari.
Okay, wait. How did my name end up among these legends? Let's take a step back.
So, we are going to Paris today to play one of the rarest and coolest guitar of all time. It is a Gibson guitar, so I'm excited. And I don't want to spoil too much, so let's go.
A week ago, I received a message on Instagram that said, "Hey, would you like to come to Paris to play this?" Believe me, it took me half a second to reply, "Absolutely, let me hop on a plane." After a 2.5 hour trip, I was in Paris. More specifically, here. This is Matt's guitar shop. Owned by my friend Matt, he has a showroom filled with ex-artists and vintage guitars like no other. There are guitars that used to belong to Slash, Jeff Beck, Richie Sambora, Billy Gibbons, Eric Clapton, and many more. But he has a very specific guitar that made me want to come here. So, without further ado, let's check it out.
Okay, and here we are. I am finally in Paris with Matt at Matt's Guitar Shop. As you can clearly see, this is the main reason I travel up to Paris, because this is a very, very special guitar. Why don't you tell me more about this incredibly iconic guitar? First of all, it's a Gibson Flying V.
Yeah.
From 1958.
Exactly.
Original 1958, and it's not a custom shop reissue or anything.
This one is called, because they all have a name, so that this one is called Virginia because it was shipped in April 1958 to a piano store, actually, because those big guitars, those big Gibson guitars, they were sold in violin stores or piano store, and that was the case of this one. So this one was shipped, I think, April 30th of 1958 to a piano store in Virginia. So we just call her Virginia.
How did you get a guitar like this? Because I know these guitars are incredibly rare. There are only 81s made in the world.
81 and 58, yeah.
So even if you are in the market for a guitar like this, it's not like you can go to a store and look for one.
Well, I tried and I failed.
I can imagine. I mean, I don't know if you guys know how rare a guitar like this is, because Gibson stopped making it in the 58, because apparently no one was liking it.
Yeah, I think they made like 81 in 58, and I think something like 18 in 59. So which makes like a 98 or 99 in total.
Okay.
And even for Gibson, they are reissuing the 1958 version.
Yeah,
of it,
exactly.
Because that was the beginning of it. Really complicated to find one, and I sold with the shop. I sold like burst all those years. We sold maybe 10 bursts all around the years, but we never had the chance to get a Flying V. This one was auctioned somewhere. I saw all the story, and what I really loved is that it had the original case, because what people don't know is that they made 81 Flying V in 1958, but today, like 1,500 of them exist, you know?
Of course.
Because so many fakes are around, and
course.
you had people in the 80s like Max Baronet or Chris
Yeah.
Berrig, you know, were making famously guitars for Slash,
Of course,
and Lenny Kravitz,
exactly.
and all those guys. And they made them so well. And I remember an anecdote I was having with Rudy Pensa in New York City, and it like they were even like buying Skylarks. So for people who don't know, like the lap steel that Gibson was making in Corina, so same wood as those. And they were just taking off the logo because it was the same. So even on the replica they were doing, they had original Gibson logo.
Of course.
And they were putting original PAF, they were putting original central lab spots.
Yeah, so it was really difficult to spot the difference between
It's really difficult. And the fact that this one, I just love the story of this one first, because you had pictures of the original owners back then, and you had the original case. This was $275 in 1958, plus $75 for the case. And the thing is that you had to pay extra to get the case, which was not always the case by customer, you know.
Of course.
I remember Joe Bonamassa, you know, buying just an empty original V case for like $20,000. Just the case, you know. When he found the Trashback V, which was a 1958 that came through Guitar Center, and it was just in a trash bag, you know.
Yeah, of course.
The lady didn't know what she had. The case was the best investment ever, because now he success to match the case with the V. If you guys want to buy a Flying V or wonder why there are so many fakes, just check the case first, because there are maybe like 50 or 60 in existence today.
I'm curious to know if all 81 of these guitars are well known now. I mean, we all know where the 81 guitars are at the moment, or we only have a few of them?
Well, you know, I think some people don't really want to talk about their collection. I know somebody who has quite a few of them and nobody knows about it. I would say like 20 or 30 are clearly known by the vintage world.
Exactly.
You know, when I posted this one, people around the world messaged me and he said, here is mine, you know, so it's like a small Corina community,
of course.
I can say. So, but a lot of collectors are hiding them, you know.
Maybe we do not have all of the 81s
discovered yet.
Discovered yet, yeah, exactly.
That's always the question, you know. It's like always like the first burst that have been shipped in 58 or whatever. It's the first one until we find an earlier one.
Of course. So this is not the first time I've seen a guitar like this. I've seen a 58 Flying V at the Gibson garage. So it was a very well protected guitar. I couldn't get to play it. So when you called me to play a guitar like this, I was immediately on a plane, because I spent the day playing this guitar, and I can tell you it's something else. It's a very honest guitar.
Yeah, exactly.
This guitar punishes you. It's really authentic. It gives you a very honest feedback when you are playing this guitar.
Well, you know, I think it's quite an honest guitar. It still has the original frets on it that you have to be very precise. You have to know what you're doing. It's a very, very, you know, charming guitar. And when you plug it to an amp, you know, the PAFs are just insane. Sometimes, you know, you just pick up a vintage guitar and it's not quite right, you know, it doesn't give you back, you know, what you expect.
Yeah.
And on this one, you can tell that it has been played, and, you know, that's what really charmed me when when I was going to bid on it, at the auction, and I was like, let's see what happens, and nobody outbid me
which
back
is
then,
which is incredible,
crazy,
because of course people are always chasing the 59, the Barst Les Paul, but these guitars, it's even more special.
From the 80s, everybody knew about the Flying V. Since I got this guitar, I was talking to Paul Stanley, Richie Sambora, Billy Gibbons, and Richie still has his, but like Billy or Paul Stanley, they just sold them back then, when they were not that expensive. And it's not even a money question. It's like you got a Flying V.
No, exactly. It's not about the money for me, but it's more like owning a piece of history.
Exactly.
That no one can even look at.
Exactly. It's like one of those guitars that you can have the fuck you money,
but you cannot buy it. You cannot get it.
It's not like a burst, that. I mean, today in the guitar world, especially with the internet and stuff, if you got the money, you're going to find the 1959 Les Paul somewhere, right? You can't necessarily get a Flying. It's one of those guitars that really make you, keeping the research of the Holy Grail, and once we all get that, we all want a Gibson Explorer.
Exactly, the Explorer is the next step.
That's the craziest story ever, Everybody can, take an appointment with us and play it like you did today, When I was 15 years old and I was starting to play guitar, I wish somebody could let me play a 1958 Gibson Flying V, And sometimes it's not really changing your day, but it's changing somebody's life. In my humble opinion, you have to let this guitar being played. It has to live, it has to be played, and that's why it sounds good, because it has been played all those years. So you'll see for sure Virginia going back on stage very soon with huge artists, or you could be yourself behind the camera and send us a message on Instagram if you're in Paris. And
I mean, it's not an opportunity you can get very easily.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for that.
It's not because you don't have necessarily the wallet to spend a budget on a Flying V that you can't play it. That's socially wrong to me. That's why, this guitar has been played since we got it, and it's been a month. I think it has been played by 40 different people already, And I think that's the magic of it. Yeah, that's a beautiful piece that has lived.
It is.
That has lived many, many gigs. That's the guitar you can see in the Ultimate Guitar Book by Tony Bacon, which is one of the most iconic guitar book. Virginia is going to have some race again, and to have some stage lights and some studio lights.
That's what she deserves.
That's what she
Guitars deserves to be played.
And guitarists deserves to play good guitars as well.
For example, that guitar, it's the Paul Kossoff original 54 guitar, owned by also Eric Clapton, which is something that you do not encounter a lot.
No.
This is very rare.
It's an holy grail for me as well, because that's 55 Black Beauty, and that was owned and played by one of the most underrated musicians of all time, which is called Paul Kossoff.
And people can come here and play it.
Exactly, yeah. It has been played here by Lenny Kravitz, Craig Ross, Marcus King, Joe Bonamassa played it. I mean, everybody has played that guitar, and now by Danilo Vicari, which is something big.
Yeah, it's not something as big as the names he just dropped, but I appreciate it. And he's plenty of guitars like this, so if you want to check them out, I will leave the links to his channel, because you also have a YouTube channel.
Yeah, we do.
So, thank you so much for having me. It was
pleasure.
a real pleasure, and cannot wait to get back here another time.
Well, thank you for coming. I appreciate
Thank you so much for everything. And that was it for today's video. I hope you really enjoyed it just as much as I did.
We did.
We did.
And now we're going to have a glass of rosé, which is okay.
That sounds like a plan.
Exactly.
And I'll catch you in the next one. Ciao!